Where do you guys want to go next? I have a super cut of the worst of EFAP, or we can go straight into talking about the video.
Well, so you have a super cut of the EFAP stuff. I'm curious to hear that.
And I was like, oh,
let me know if any point you want to
people have. I do think that gender and sex are inextricably linked. I do think that both of the genders, while there are two, there is in a vast spectrum, but I don't really care about it all that much, honestly. If you want to be whatever, that's fine with me. If you want to be whatever gender you want, that is totally fine with me. You do your thing. You go out there and be the best, whatever you want to be. That is totally okay with me. Just don't tell me that I have to call you certain things or I have to label you as something or something.
Okay.
The top comment.
Can we stop there? Can we stop there? Mm-hmm. I want to just say exactly what he said, but replace a few words. You can be whoever you are, whatever skin color, whatever nationality, whatever. Just don't tell me I have to not call you certain things like Negro or stuff like that. Just don't tell me I have to respect, like let you sit at the same lunch table as people of other skin colors, or the same water fountain, whatever. That's what you sound like.
Yeah, I mean, even simpler, version. Just like if I tell you my name is Dane and you keep calling me fucking Frank, then I'm gonna think you're an asshole, and I'm not gonna want to be around you, right? Like, or when someone gets married and takes their spouse's last name, if someone kept, it's like there's not really any functional difference. So there's something else going on there. It's bigotry.
It's pretty bad.
12,000 upvotes. The fact that they played Duel of the Fates, Anakin's Dark Deeds, and Battle of the Heroes is insane. Instant chills right there.
There you go.
Fuck off.
What's the issue?
I don't even care if you're a nice person.
Okay. Can we pause there?
Pause. Yeah.
That's
two things.
That they cannot accept people enjoying shit that they don't like.
Yeah.
That's proof that.
I think the person that made that. Well, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
The person that made that comment might be their worst crime is probably just being easily impressed. Like, well, yeah, it's an Obi-Wan Kenobi show. It makes sense that they're going to add a couple of iconic themes from when he's fought people in the prequels. At the same time, they're not talking about the quality of the writing. They're just sharing what they experienced from them doing the member berries thing, which is like, it's not hurting me by you sharing that. And so getting angry at that seems bizarre. That's
also
what I would just say.
I don't want to hear them talking about being easily impressed when, remember Southpaw, you remember the bending over backwards they did to try to defend Ned being the reason we see Toby and Andrew and how that was done.
Yeah.
Like, no, I don't want to hear it from these guys.
Yeah.
Well, this gets worse.
Like, just as a general comment,
Rags,
it feels
can
like
you not be...
I feel like they just seem to morally condemn people for liking something or thinking
just being a fan of something
that
they deem they don't like is somehow inexcusable.
Yeah, it's like they treat it like a crime.
And just the fact that they cover much smaller channels, by the way, too. It's a problem. And then they seek out people that, it's one thing for them to, make a video about Bob or me or something like that because we're talking shit on them. It's like, I would expect that. But going after some channel that's just, talking about something they like and then picking their video apart and shitting on them, it's pretty fucking toxic behavior.
Absolutely.
Well, I was about ready to say, actually, Rags just went after me because I made a video where I said I thought Obi-Wan was good. But very flawed, but good. Very.
How dare you?
I think I remember. Is it in the compilation?
No, I did not get any of my bits.
Okay. Because the reason I say that because I think I remember a specific one where he's like, "You think that this show is good? You are pathetic. You need to reevaluate your life," or whatever the hell he said.
Yeah,
I feel the need to just. I feel the need to just clarify, for everything that SK and I are saying, we do not defend the show. At least I don't. I don't love Kenobi at all. I kind of hate it.
I do not.
It's irrelevant to this. It's irrelevant to this discussion about the manner in which they talk to certain people. But we are not doing this because we love Kenobi. We absolutely do not. It's I think it's my least favorite Star Wars thing I've ever watched. That's all I'm gonna say.
I mean, and because you don't like it, you're clearly morally superior.
I am. That's right. I'm a lot better than all of you.
I will say I suspect you haven't seen the holiday special though.
I actually have not. No.
The old
the Star Wars holiday special. SK,
oh god, it's bad.
All right, SK, you need to watch the Star Wars holiday special, and then after you do your whole OT video, you need to do a video on why the holiday special is the best of the original Star Wars.
Oh god.
You need to. Your challenge is to make a video proving that the holiday special is the best Star Wars thing ever. Dude, you have not pissed enough people off by saying that the OT
Holy
is
crap.
shit.
All right.
A smug insult machine for 5 seconds. Contribute something of substance, please.
Wow.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know. Kill yourself.
Oh,
I guess.
Ah,
I don't know.
cool.
I don't know. I don't care.
Okay, anomaly.
Also, I want to point out
Swallow a bullet.
that misgendering trans people should 100% be considered inciting hatred against them on the basis of their gender. The only purpose in misgendering trans people is that it hurts them and incites hatred against them.
Riley, a lot of people are going to look at you and say, hey, it's a guy because you look like a guy. You have the body of a guy. You have the voice of a guy. The DNA in every single cell of your body is male. You can call yourself whatever you want, I don't care. But once you start telling other people that they have to call you certain things, that is obviously where they draw the line.
Okay, pause again.
I just gotta say one asshole. One.
Right?
What a fucking prick.
So from now on, I'm just gonna Rags is just gonna be called shitmouth to me, and nothing, is ever gonna change.
It's just like
just find out what his real name is. Find out what his real name is, and then just refer to him as his real name and never call him Rags.
What do you mean, Lawrence?
Like, obviously, we're allowed.
Oh,
okay.
We're obviously allowed.
Tanner Angel.
We're obviously. Well, no. So we're obviously allowed to respect boundaries when it comes to what we prefer to be called. I mean, I think that some of you guys know what my real name is in here, but I prefer to be called Southpaw. And literally, even with people who don't like trans people, they have no issue with respecting that boundary. And this is just simply a boundary that costs you absolutely nothing to respect. Look, I don't know all that. SK is a lot more educated on the subject than I am. But I'm just on the side of just respect simple boundaries that don't cost me anything to do. This costs me nothing. So
I mean, no amount of dog costumes is gonna make fucking Rags a dog ultimately.
Well, and not only is it respecting someone's just boundaries and like not being a dick socially, but like you can find medical data information supporting the fact that that's the best thing to do for that person. So to do the opposite
is literally. The guy that I spoke about earlier, Jolly Chap, is literally a neuroscientologist who, like with a degree. I mean,
you say Scientologist?
Neuroscience. Oh my god, neuroscientist. Oh my god.
I was gonna say,
sorry, neuro.
What did Xenu say?
Neuroscientologist. Jesus shit. He's got a degree in neuroscience, and he actually talks at length in private about this stuff. And so it's like, again, this is a subject where I will just simply say, you know what? I'm not the best when it comes to talking about this. I'm not very qualified in talking about this, but I'll simply respect a person's boundary. It's not affecting me at all to just simply do that. It's costing me literally nothing, even if I just don't understand it. That's not a matter of saying it's not real. It's not a matter of me By the way, people getting really mad if you say it's nitpicking. They say that that's invalidating their criticism. Meanwhile, they're literally invalidating people's boundaries right here. But I'm just like, I'll just respect it, even though I'm not going to profess to know very much about it. That's it. That's basically my stance.
To go further,
I know a decent amount, and it's like objectively true that gender and sex are not the same thing, and so to conflate them and act like just because maybe you can tell or suspect that a woman was born a male, you're just it's absurd. Like, you really have to go out of your way to be a dick to do that, honestly.
Absolutely. And to go further, right? To go further, when he says like, oh, when you say, well, we have to call you this, that's obviously where we're going to draw the line. It's like, okay, so if somebody demands that, if a black person demands that you don't call them clown face or monkey or whatever, it's like
the N-word.
Yeah, or yeah. Do you not
hold on,
see
SK.
why? Or do you not
No,
see
SK,
why saying, "Oh, well, you're demanding me not to say that"? Like, so that's where we draw the line.
No,
do you not see like
no,
the
SK,
issue?
you're being racist by trying that comparison at all. Do you not remember when I brought that up to Jay Longbone for pulling this logic with Ezra Miller, a person who, by the way, I don't respect at all.
No,
but I'm not gonna misgender them on the basis of the pronouns thing, because then I'm just like, well, then what does a person who also uses they them pronouns think when I'm doing that? Because I don't respect Ezra Miller. It's like, it's not a matter of respecting Ezra Miller. It's a matter of respecting other people who are unrelated to this, right? That's like you're doing a.
Oh, I saw that. Yeah, I saw that argument. One of you was in on Twitter about that. Yeah,
that was me.
Absolutely.
I think Caitlyn Jenner's a piece of shit, but I mean, I'm still going to try to use her proper name and pronouns whenever applicable.
Well, I mean, if you're having
just to be completely
if you're
honest,
doing that, you're just being malicious.
These people are subhuman.
There are reasons with both of these examples, Ezra Miller and Caitlyn Jenner, to criticize them that have nothing to do with their gender identity, and that's what they deserve to be criticized for,
Well, there's literally a content creator that we're friends with who is trans, who I've accidentally misgendered just because I knew them before they were trans, and it really costs nothing to just correct oneself, be like, shit, sorry, that was unintentional.
Yeah, exactly.
People understand that. People there's no one is sending you off to the gulag for making a mistake, for making an innocent mistake. It still happens to me, and it's like. I think that this whole like, you can't demand me to respect it, is like, that's a straw man. I'm always having to ask, like, when are they demanding you to call for you to call them anything unless you are outright refusing to do that, right? Like you're having to provoke them first for them to start saying, please use my actual pronouns and not the ones that you're constantly calling me by, right? Because I've never had a conversation where at the very start they begin demanding I use their name, like certain pronouns or names or whatever that I'm unfamiliar with.
We respect, generally we try to respect boundaries with people in all these various other ways that we probably don't even think about consciously. And then this one more is suddenly just, that's where the bridge too far for these people. It's bizarre. As Sue says here, there's a third gender in India called Hydra. I'm sure I said that like a white guy. It existed for 4,000 years. Yeah, and then there's like indigenous Native Americans have two-spirit, which is kind of a different thing, not exactly the same, but yeah, there's
a basic concept, yeah.
I mean, my personal policy is I kind of treat like all this stuff kind of the same way. If I think you should do whatever makes you happy, as long as you're not hurting yourself or others. Period.
Like a real American.
Yeah, that's it.
It's
so
it's funny.
Just the simple principle of treat people the way you want to be treated.
Yes.
And it's they teach you this stuff when you're a kid.
Right.
And Rags is like, what, 30 now?
It's so funny because I had an entire argument. I had an entire argument with someone that was mad over the whole the aforementioned. Well, it's not really aforementioned. This is the first time we're mentioning it. The whole consent thing, and like they were trying to pick a fight with me over it, especially like in regards to, well, what are you into? And I'm like, well, I mean, the youngest I go is half my age plus 7, and also in terms of like what do I care about? It's like, well, I mean, consent's really the only major preference that I have outside of, like, I mean, I'm not gay. And then this person tried to argue that because I only said consent, that somehow meant I was a pedophile. I'm like, you don't seem to understand that minors cannot consent. That's why I said consent.
Right.
Consent kind of covers like everything. Like,
but the logical leaps there.
I mean, I guess that it surely. Oh, it's baffling. And SK and I have been dealing with so much of this too, where it's like it's not an isolated incident. This is a very prevalent issue with this community. This is why
I get it all the time too. Yeah.
Yeah.
So are we popping the top on that now, or are we gonna?
Yeah, we can get back to this is the turf clip, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Do we want to do more worst of rags, or we want to dive into the video?
Let's continue.
I don't know. I'm kind of with the turfs. Not gonna lie.
That's a joke. Dang it, that's a joke.
So that's trans exclusive radical feminists.
Yeah,
like I can sympathize with that. I'm typically no friend of feminists, but I can sympathize with the turf.
So the bigotry against trans people is greater than that against women is what that tells me.
Point, yeah, which is still pretty bad.
No, Rag seems like a really level-headed guy. I don't know what you guys are talking about.
I'm going to abstain from much of this discussion outside of turfs are nobody's friend. Crazy shit that they say, like even if you're someone that isn't particularly enthused about the trans community, god damn, the shit that they just get away with saying about men. They are these straw feminists that anti-feminists hate all the time. But because they also hate trans people, the anti-feminists that I've seen seem to be siding with them. And I'm over here, I'm like, again, I'm not very knowledgeable on the trans subject. I'm respectful towards them. And I've definitely taken a side here in terms of I'm against the turfs. Turfs are not your friend. They are nobody's friend. I'm just giving you a fair warning there.
Yeah. They are a unique island on their own for sure.
Or couch.
Oh yeah.
That's how this is with black characters. Like every room they fucking walk in just happens to be a racist cop. Ready to put a knee on their neck or some shit. It's like they're treating
they can die of a heart attack.
Go fuck yourself.
That's
go
just
fuck yourself.
No,
Yeah,
that
go
was
fuck
literally my exact response.
So, by the way, that
I was like, "Are you fucking serious? Are you?"
So that person speaking was the person I was talking about earlier when I said they were going on about how, I don't have to respect Ezra Miller's pronouns because I don't respect him. And my response was like, well, because this person is black, right? I was like, well, just because I don't respect you doesn't give me the right to call you the N-word. And then this person literally responds to me, oh yeah, so her response was, so you don't use, in quotes, so you don't use someone's self-assigned pronouns, I can call you the N-word now, right? As if to say that that's what I said. But if you look at her screenshot, I'm literally saying the exact opposite. And
yeah, she
that's
lied.
the person that just spoke here. She just lied. And and the EFAP guys knew about this, and they did fuck all to address this false accusation of racism, which I'm sure that the EFAP fans are major fans of.
You know what they will defend? You know what they will defend, though? Someone in their No Way Home stream said Gary didn't like Ned from the movie, and they tried to attribute that to racism. And Mahler was very adamant on being like, no. He probably didn't find him funny, and that's perfectly fine. He was desperate to defend that. But I can't imagine
running to the defense of Gary.
I mean, Gary, it's entirely. I will say it's entirely possible the case that Gary just simply didn't like Ned because Ned sucked.
It is possible, but
Ned did suck. Yeah. Ned did
suck. He's got a track record though that would also weigh it pretty heavily in favor of it maybe not being that.
I will neither confirm nor deny that. I'm just going to say, the difference in his response there versus his response to when Jay Longbone is outright claiming I was racist when I'm literally saying it would be wrong to do a racist thing.
Yeah, I saw the exchange. It was,
Yeah, it's that's just abhorrent. I guess that the EFAP fan base that cares so much if SK does quote unquote guilt by association, which we can go into later, I guess that just doesn't matter if it's someone that they disagree with that's getting called a racist for saying the exact opposite things.
Yeah, that's a good point. You know, I mean, at least I guess we can say that in that case, you know, Mahler was, you know, sticking up for a friend.
I like that scene in the second episode where the pig.
Well, here's the thing. I never felt like it was a tragic story.
Wait, did he call them pigs?
Did he?
What? Wait.
Hold on. Yeah, he did.
The thing with Isaiah Bradley and how tragic his story is. I like that scene in the second episode where the pigs harass Sam.
Pigs. He called them pigs.
Pause it.
He called the
Pause
cops
it.
pigs.
Pause it.
Yeah.
Schaefer was based here, what he said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's been a while since I've seen it, but I remember these cops being pretty outright racist.
They
towards
are,
Sam.
yeah.
So like, yeah. So like he's calling them pigs because, yeah.
Yeah. What I have to say is, go fuck yourself to every single person in this clip. I think it's disgusting that they're actually trying to what's the word? Downplay the actual racism at play that the show's trying to communicate here.
Yeah.
And their response to that is, "Oh, you can't call them pigs." Well, you'll see it gets even worse after this, but it leaves a bad taste in my mouth. So they can go.
For a second, I thought you were talking about the clip of Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I'm like, what did they do?
No. I'm talking about Rags, Fringy, and Moeller.
Wow. Okay. I'm sure. Wow. All right. So y'all need to just put your money where your mouth is and put yourself on a list so that whenever there's an issue, whenever you have a car accident, or if anyone ever mugs you, robs you, assaults you, whenever anything happens, you're just on a do not help list for the pigs because you don't want the pigs helping you out. So whenever you need something and you call.
This is absolutely dishonest. He knows this is
It's
bullshit, and
pretty
he's saying
disgusting. Yeah.
And this is the thing. People use this kind of disgusting rhetoric to beat around the issue of actual police brutality at play.
Yeah, you know who uses this kind of rhetoric? Right wingers. Yeah. So, like, I've seen people try and say that, you know, Rags is apolitical, Mahler is apolitical, you know, they're not, whatever. It's like, no, I mean, at least Rags, he is straight up a right winger. He's voicing
an alt-right mindset or justification here.
He shared, there was that one tweet he had was like, you know, just saying the N-word is fine online, you know, just
it's not harmful, even though.
Yeah, and then the last one was that Antifa.
But you find this harmful, right, Rags?
Organization. Yeah, right. This is somehow harming somebody to say this, you know, on a fucking YouTube video about actors that are playing cops.
Well, hey, listen. I just simply don't respect these police officers, so I'm not going to call them what they prefer to be called. They probably prefer to be called cops, but I'm just going to call them pigs.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh.
And no, it's like, well, what Schaefer is saying here is like, if you're paying attention, he's not calling all cops pigs. He's referring to these particular cops who are harassing a guy because he's black, and they don't realize that, or they're not being very overt about it. But it's like, they're not doing a great job at arguing against a point that he's actually made. They're doing a really great job at arguing against a point that he never made.
He's talking about fictional cops. Like, it's not like he's saying it about real cops that would actually have some role to play if he needed police. You know, it's fucking absurd.
Well, I think that his logic is that because Schaefer is calling these fictional cops pigs, that he must then be referring to all cops, including non-fictional cops. But that's not what Schaefer did. That's, again, a straw man of what Schaefer said. Schaefer if Schaefer said, oh man, all cops are just bastards. All cops are, well, first off, I believe that all cops are bastards. But also, like, Schaefer never really said that. So you can't really make that argument against him. Make that argument against me all you like. Don't do that to Schaefer, please. Also, leave Schaefer alone for now, for a long time. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I sincerely hope he gets a speedy recovery. I had no idea about that. Wow. but I forgot how bad this got
even without a lot of the stuff that we've looked at already, I think this alone is enough for me to be like, I wouldn't watch these people anymore. They're idiots, and
given how much content they make, it's hard to say that this is what they're always like, that this is all that their content is. But there's not a shortage of it. I can tell you that much.
And it's never anything that they address later on is like, yeah, we could have, you know, we were a little irresponsible
never
with that
addressed.
language or anything like that. Yeah.
I mean, it's a common pattern for them to screw up on something and not address it afterwards.
What are you talking about, SK? I don't know what on earth you could be referring to there.
That would almost it would kind of, you know, just show that they're not infallible, which they can't have that.
You know, we're something of disingenuous pieces of shit ourselves.
I don't know what order you have these in, Bob, but if it's the way that they were listed, I think, then the next one's kind of even worse.
It's
worse than
probably
this?
the way they were listed. I did a rush job. This was literally what I was putting together when I was running late.
I think that this is an interesting thing to think about, though, because I think it was EFAP's 22 and 23 where he's responding to Jack Saint's video on him. By the way, Jack Saint did a couple of response streams to that EFAP and with Patricia Taxon. Jack and Patricia did a fantastic job at breaking down that EFAP and actually showing off to me and SK and a few others like, oh, their comprehension skills are shit. Or like the whole EFAP
or they're just lying. I think they're lying
riddled.
Personally.
Well, they're just riddled with issues, right? But the arguments that they are trying to make in that EFAP is like, well, if you apply the same standard of, well, Jack Saint is attributing something that Mahler technically never said here. That's what they try to say in that EFAP. It's like, well, technically, Schaeferless isn't making the point that you guys are responding to here. And the problem is that SK and I, of course, are also dealing with what's an unfortunate side effect of what they're doing here, where their fans turn off their critical thinking when listening to anything in criticism of them. And instead of addressing the points that we are making directly, they respond to things that we never, ever said. This is just a basic comprehension issue. This is just a basic, like, why don't you try to understand what point the person's actually making, right?
Nothing But Media has a question I'm kind of interested in. Southpaw, did you notice this stuff at the time and dismiss it and just kind of, let it go with the greater context of the length of their videos? Or
my experience has been that upon everything that happened that SK outlined in his video that we'll talk about later, it forced me to look back on a lot of things that happened. And this is an experience that you might have with friends who you have like a fondness for, but then something happens and it kind of forces you to reevaluate certain things, and you start noticing things that were kind of staring you in the face the whole time that you kind of just glossed over because they were your friend.
There are hints of it.
Yeah, that's kind of what happened here, where like it was and in some cases it could even be a matter of I turned a blind eye to genuinely shady behavior. And one thing I just never really got to say at the start of this is like, I wouldn't be surprised if the general response from my chat or from this chat is comparable to that of a joke of a woman who didn't think that the leopards eating people's faces party would come for her face when she voted for them. And that's kind of what happened here. And so I'm finding that people are like, well, Southpaw got what he deserved because he was with EFAP for this long and he ignored all these issues. And it's like, well, I mean, that's a valid response to have.
Not really. I mean, it's kind of like abuser logic, and I don't think it's valid at all.
Yeah,
actually, like,
I don't like it at all.
Deserves to be, even if you mistakenly get in, become friends or become part of a community or whatever relationship. I mean, I don't think that's valid.
That's another perspective to have. I understand the perspective of that, of the leopards eating people's faces party joke. This was just a case of I didn't believe that these were issues at the time. And I've had to reevaluate a lot of things as a result of my personal experiences with these people. And unfortunately, I have a different perspective than a lot of their friends may have now. And the unfortunate thing is that I know why some people like Adam Friended might be blind to that sort of thing and might be inclined to defend them against someone like me or SK, and why they might have this lens that makes them think that SK and I are just backstabbing them or attacking them for the sake of it.